be that length. Oh my god, did I rename it? Okay. I totally pasted in the title and didn't think that I could definitely need to change the name because it's not number 2, it is number 3. That would be confusing otherwise. Change this to 3. Number 3. There we go. Save. Okay. All right, let's get started then. So this is all going to just be thinking and planning and all that stuff. I'm gonna put up the chat even though, you know, I just gotta hope and dream. Eventually I'll get one my first viewer. Till then, we'll just leave this chat here. For some reason it doesn't want to expand over. Come on. Let me expand you. Oh, there we go. No one can see this. Oh, this is like the smallest of spots in which it'll allow you to expand this. Jeez. Okay, I finally did it. Alrighty. Okay. Now my mouse is here. Okay. I got my little sketch pad. And am I doing boxes right now? Nope, I am. Oh, thing. Okay, so I have this massive pad. I'm testing out Sketchpad. I've never used it before. It's a free thingy, so I figured why not. How do I pan? Do I like what? Oh, this is like a magnifying glass. Alt press. Interesting. Okay. So not that. Not shift click. Not did it. No, it's still the magnifying glass. There's no panning, I guess. Or is there like I would have to like specifically. No, let's select. Interesting. Yes, you know pan tool. Okay. Well, guess I'm just gonna figure it out. But in doing this, so I'm just gonna visualize out some squares. Actually, get a square here. That's gonna be all those little dots there. But okay. So if I have, for example, like a basic thing where I have a couple of rooms, I would just like make up a little bit of rooms there, right? And then I could set this up in a way that I procedurally generate a bunch of rooms in kind of various sizes. Then you kind of figure out random spots where you'd like connect this one with a hallway, and then you'd connect this guy with a hallway. Maybe you'd figure out that, and then that. We could even figure out some kind of curvy ones, although that's definitely going to be an interesting thing to try to figure out conceptually. then like this, this, and then maybe actually the same room could actually have multiple entries in it. So like that's kind of like how you would set up a basic level. And, just that written down, like that doesn't look horrible as like a little map, See, there's things there. Um, Depending on how long these hallways are and stuff, you could do things like that. I mean, I actually kind of wonder if my original thought was like, you'd have a bunch, you'd have like a hallway, then you'd have a bunch of these like side door little like closet storage spaces, right? Um, and these would be the things you'd be opening constantly, with different codes on each one, so that you'd have to enter them in, and there might be like a monster, but there also might be loot inside each one of them. And so in this case, you kind of would have like these small little outcroppings here, and so each one of these would have like a little small storage closet. And you could even have some like in the rooms too, right? The rooms would have little closets too. So you could still have that kind of in this design, but then you might also have like boxes inside the room, right? So the rooms themselves would probably be mostly full like prefab type thing. I probably want to make them at least kind of nice in that way, not like an empty room that I throw random shit in. It would probably be more, at least a little bit handcrafted, so they would have a specific layout. But then you could have boxes, you'd have kind of like ways you walk into the room. Like it wouldn't just be a wide open space, right? There'd be things in the room, right? So like in this case, there might be like a big generator or something in the middle. But there would also be like side boxes or side other things you could interact with that you would need the Morse code then to open up and do things with. That could work. Could definitely work. So kind of going off that, how would I essentially break this flow down, right? Because like, all right, no, not the circles, the squares, right? So yeah, I could keep expanding this, but I think I got the kind of core concept of, you'd have rooms, right? So how do you do this type stuff? I just type in and I tap with one finger to move, tap with two fingers to rotate and scan. Tap. This is like meant for. This is meant for tablets. It thinks this is a tablet. How do I place? How do I place room? Is room just like somewhere that I can't see it? Where is? Oh, there's room. Okay. Let's just undo that. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. I'm not gonna bother with that. I'm just gonna use, I don't know, this. This is a room. And then I'll call this a corridor, so it would be a C. I really should have I should have just like started. I was thinking, oh, I'll have all these thoughts, and so I'll. How do I? This is just panning like not possible. Or does this just really expect me to? This must be purely designed for with the idea that your tablet. Um, So let me like recreate this quickly, and then I'll just make a new set of these boxes. It didn't take me long. It literally took me a few minutes. Okay, so I have box. Is it black again or something? Box. Box 1. Another box 2. Another box here. I'll create a box here. Create a box here. And then maybe I'll even create a box here. Okay. Maybe actually this is a little bit too tight. Just okay, let's start again. Box. 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 And another box. Right. And from there, I kind of created boxes. And so these would probably be predefined rooms. So they would have like specific sections which I would have defined like as already as like a door probably. So like say this one had this, and this, and this. And then this one would have like a spot here. Maybe it has even like multiples. And some of these would be like, could be disabled and they would just look like walls, right? Maybe, I don't know, this big one and then that. And then this one would have here. Most likely, I think most of these things would probably have some sort of one door on each end. I think it would probably just make more sense if that was the case. I'm purposely just kind of going through these and kind of randomly doing it just to make sure that if I were to set up this system, how could I like decide, hey, how do these portals work? And of course, sizing probably would be more or less universal. It would not look like this. This would be a pretty weird way of making it look. Would not have all different sizes. Okay. Now, can I do a little fill just to fill, 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 fill. I like this looks a little bit more. Come on, fill that little line. There you go. And fill. Come on. There we go. There we go. Ah, okay. So these are my rooms. Okay, really bad. Can I like? Is this look at this? This is like a sketch pad thing. Chap ruler. What are these? Customized grid. But like, why is there not like a normal grid? You know? That's what I kind of ask. It's like, you have like a grid that's like, they're specifically perspective grids for fancy drawing people. They didn't want to have like a normal, just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely meant for tablet people and artsy people, probably. Still probably better than paint, which is what I was originally going to use. So, I guess I can't blame them that hard for not really making this thing that I want. Okay, and so now lines. Um, so what I'd probably want in most cases, I would maybe need to support kind of like diagonal little things like this, right? But then in the best case scenario, you could do a straight line, or in this type of scenario, you would do this, this, and then like it's like an S curve. I don't know, kind of like an S, or it's like a, like, I don't know, hooky thing. This would probably end up also being a direct one. This would be just a direct thing, and then this would be an L. And I kind of got my map. And so then these ones would then just be X'd, and they would be turned into whatever, like just walls or defunct doors that have like debris in them or something. So then they could actually show as like not accessible in that aspect. Yeah, okay. So now that I have my layout here, and then I would, or actually, good point to myself is that these could then just be these storage boxes, right? So then these are just like little outcrops that would provide for more storage things to show up, right? So actually, a lot of these might even have a door like that or something, and then so you'd have to have logic, or would have to have logic so that like you couldn't put a storage area here and a storage area there because that would conflict. So you'd have to have some sort of space thought here, but maybe you can do some things like that. So there's a bunch of these little side hallways, and there might be side ones like this. You'd have lots of little openings to do stuff with. Okay. Let me just get kind of stuck there. If I do a little bit of this, and then I go color this something that's not quite there. Okay, of course, there's little holes in there. I should just make those boxes. Let's just count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, I mean, that'd be 13 little boxes. That's a pretty decent sized level, especially like early mid kind of difficulty. You'd start on from like say this room, right? create a little circle to illustrate that. So I have like a starting zone. So I'd have my little starting zone. And then you'd have an end zone. And it would ideally have to be, I guess, 2 away. So like this would be the most obvious end zone, right? So you'd have an end and a start. And so you can start in here and you would, bunch your way around. Eventually you could find the end and you can still venture around, do that and get to the end. So it'd be kind of like a level. And if I do that, I think that probably is pretty good. So of course now I can draw it, but now I need to like figure out how I actually make that. Again, it all starts with the idea that I would have a room. Back to where I was before. Maybe I can do text now. It'll actually like, so drag with one finger to move. Okay, so I have a room, and then I would have like, okay, well, I understand at least. Okay, I'll just do that, and then I'll make another one for, this would be the C's, right? So these would be quarters. So then I have a bunch of C's, and then I'd have a storage room, basically, right? But rooms as well could hold, for example, another storage thing, right? So they might have a box in there, a storage item. Yeah. Okay. So, and the way you would set it up again is that I would make rooms, like a bunch of different prefabs. So this is definitely a little bit of initial upkeep to make a bunch of rooms, but to get this going, I could make a pretty simple room, like the simplest of rooms would just be a little square. Make this a little square. Okay. A little square with exactly, the same shaped door on each side. Right? So you would make that, basically just be a square little room. And then all the other rooms are obviously going to be attached next to this, right? But how do I actually want to place these? Right, so do I kind of go in with the idea that I like start by placing the first room, and then I would place the next some rooms adjacent to it, and then those rooms would then try to find rooms to put adjacent to, or do I want to like? So the reason why I'm not so sure about that is because I feel like it'll create situations where you have like these long tendrils, right? And like they won't end up being clumped together like this does. Unless I have to like some very big, a lot of code to figure out kind of like make sure you're trying to put things closer and do that type of stuff. But I feel like that's gonna be a lot more magical fixes than potentially trying to like lay the rooms out in an area. Like you try to put them down, kind of just put them all down nearish to an area, kind of like find an open space that's still close to one of the existing rooms. And then once I do that, that's when I do the corners, like I kind of did here. And one of the solutions to kind of not having many of these type of situations is obviously there's going to be fixed kind of dimensions to the rooms, right? So there's going to be like, there will either be like 10 by 10 is like maybe the smallest room. I don't even know if 10 by 10 is big enough, but for example, let's just say 10 by 10, right? So you have a 10 by 10, but then you have a 10 by 20, right? So then do that. It's like all the rooms would be a specific clamped amount of increase. They wouldn't be like a 15 by 12 or something. They'd all have some sort of frame of reference there, because then I could say like a door is every 10 units. And if a door is every 10 units, then you can kind of make more situations like this or situations like this, that if you say you want to have these two rooms connect, I can say like, okay, they're an acceptable amount of distance, but you can just make that S shape or whatever it's called, right? You can kind of just make those to connect to it. So that's probably, I have to do some way of doing it. So you'd have the rooms, and then you'd kind of, the first step. So the first step, I need like a notepad. Where do we have, let's see. Notepad. Okay. Good old notepad. Just like bringing in all the basic cool stuff here. So procedural generation to-dos. Okay, so the first here would be place rooms with a fixed interval size down together. I'm going to say just together. It's a way of kind of visualizing like them being connected in kind of an area. Probably should be some rules there. So like, okay. So then I probably want to make, okay, so like, I'll take this. So place rooms down together is first step, with some notes. So rooms will have a fixed interval size, i.e. 10 by 10, 10, 20, 30 by 40, etc. Kind of things. Let's put a comma there. Then the next line here would be B. Doors probably will always be at the center. Be at the center of an interval. Which is, i.e. 5, 15, etc. Okay, and then the other thing that I wanted to try to make sure is that I think rooms generally should have to be adjacent to two other rooms. Besides obviously the first and the second room. But like once you put these two rooms, if you put another room down, it should be adjacent to both of these rooms some way. I guess does maybe can that can't be the case if I place two identically sized rooms next to each other, the third one won't be able to do that, but the fourth one would. But then again, the fifth one wouldn't be able to do that because I've made a square. Um, hmm, I guess though. Okay, so what I could do is I could make the rule that it has to be adjacent. It has to be connectable to two other rooms. So after the first and second room, because obviously the first one goes down, there's no other room. Second one goes down, it's connected to the first room. I place the third one. It can still be connected because it can go like this, and it could create a hallway like this, right? So then if I were to complete the level, start putting corridors, I could connect these, and every single room would have at least two rooms connected to them. Which I think is all right. I think that's a decent option. I can put that as a rule. I'm gonna have to add a caveat in a second there. But so each room after the second will require it be able to be connected to two other rooms at the time of placement. So even if like something eventually does get placed in this particular spot, that'll be fine because I will have already uh, got the connection, and if I place something there, it still will have more than one connection. So I think that's fine. Caveat that I do have to make here is I um, uh, sorry, and the caveat here is that for connection, right? So how do I define a connection? A connection is either a 0-degree turn or a 90-degree turn, right? And so what I mean by this would be like a 90, right? And then this would be a 0. But what I wouldn't want is, for example, this thing to say, hey, I can connect to here. That's what would be like the end of the world. The worst one is like this one thinking that instead of connecting here, it should go over and then like connect to here, or even worse, over here, right? So there would definitely have to be some logic there. That if I just want one like this one going around and trying to connect to there or something. this would technically be, yeah, so this would be a 1, 2, 3. So that'd be 270. I mean, it would be 180. Right, so yeah. I guess I could do that by amount of turns it would take, right? So you could actually kind of visualize if I was to make a straight line in the grid. Right, so rather than, I'd have to see basically, could I, if the door is that way, but it basically, yeah, so if the door is facing, if you're doing, obviously if you're doing a 0 degree, their normals would be inversed, right? So one would be facing this way and one would be facing this way, right? So you would know by that the normals are inversed, and that's fine, they can connect. And as long as there's nothing in between them, then that's okay. If it's if they're crisscrossing, right? One's going this way and one's going this way, you would have to check that. In this case, this one's going this way and that one's going that way, right? But it's not acceptable because this side is actually, you could check, right? Like if it's going in that way, it has to be on this side of this door. Right, so I would check normals, or check normal would be like forward vector. To determine and if they were must be located in opposite direction of the other doors. Forward. Okay. We have done that. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of the room generation. So I think that those are the kind of rules that I need to do to make the rooms. So once you look at all the rooms placed, the next part would be determining the corridors, right? This is definitely put the notepad away for a second. This is definitely a section where a little less deterministic. It's like even like looking back this, I could see like why was this not a corridor? Which it actually, in my mind, actually now that I look at it, should be a corridor. So I'm just gonna make it so. Oh, corridor. Where's this eraser? Like worked a little bit better. I like select. What is this selection? Oh, it's a lasso selection. Okay. Yeah. I want all of this, and I want to. Okay. What if I no? What did I just do? I want to select this whole little middle area. Cut it. And I like eat it. I like paste it over there. I don't understand. What have I just done? Fine, whatever. You know what? You want to be like that. Is this eraser not even? What erases over there, but it doesn't. I don't know, man. Whatever. You know, I just like make this a full. One day I'll figure this thing out. I just thought it would be cooler than paint. There's a layer editor, color gradient. Whatever. Anyways, back to corridors. So I think the process would be that you would try to figure out with all the doors that exist, what are the appropriate pairings of stuff. Very descriptive stuff. The appropriate other door pairings, right? So you try to go through the doors. So if I had this room, I would go and check this room. Like I would have a list of rooms, right? So would I go through each room with this room, and then I would be like, hey, for this door, what's a valid corridor for this door? I'm thinking of the. Oh no, this would be in the corridor section. Okay. So what would be a valid corridor? It would be, we go and check if, again, you would find all the doors that have an appropriate forward direction and location, right? So this may be an okay forward direction, but it's not in the right location because it's that. This also has the same issue. This is a different one, wrong direction, right? Because it's matching. So then that would be bad. So then you would not do that. So then I have these three as options. Now, I'd probably have to do some sort of limitation on length, or I would maybe store all three of these. Like, so for this door here, all three of these would be options, but I would sort them by length, right? Or like horizontal difference, right? So I think you would ideally want to get the door that has the least amount of this. Like this is okay, but you know, if there was a door option like this, I would choose that one. So you would create a list of options with this specific door that have the horizontal width as the determining factor. Now, I might still want to hold on to them, or do I instantly? Question, yes. So the question next is, if I have this list of these three doors, Do I just instantly pick this one? Say, hey, that's the closest. I'm going to take that door, and now it's that door. And this is the hallway. And then I'm just locking those two doors out, and they're defined as a corridor. Or do I um, you know, keep them for later and then see if there's like another situation that needs to be addressed. Because I guess yeah, just like to maybe illustrate this point. Like say I instead of having picked this door first, um, I was looking at this door first, right? And so this has this door. Um, and if I'm looking from this door's perspective, there may only be one option, but this door may actually have multiple options, right? It could actually, it would also be okay to do that one, and it would be okay to do that one. And probably from this perspective, this door and this door aren't that much different, right? So I would have to, in a sorting later, I would like, would I kind of like add all the doors, have a door, um, just type this out. It's probably going to be more typey than anything. Okay, so 2 is then 4. Is corridor or is corridor? Corridor? Matching. So in the corridor matching, I would want to yeah, I think I would have to create a whole list of match options, basically. So I would create a list with match options for each door. Um, it would probably have to be like, what if would it be like a maybe it's like a sorted dictionary. No. Could maybe be a sorted dictionary. Might be a use case for it. Because actually I don't want to, I want to have that, I want to have some sort of unique identifier to say, hey, this door and this door are part of this collection, part of this match. So that when I'm going through this side, like this room, I can look up at this door and see, oh, well, this is a match, but I've already added that list as an option. This match is an option. Right? So I think that makes sense. So it could maybe each of these doors would have an ID. And then, so I would create a sorted list, sorted list with match options for each door. And not a sorted list, sorted dictionary again. With the key being So it would be a concatenation. Concatenation of both doors. These. There's probably some way I can make that so it's not gonna be like a string concatenation. I can make it like ints or something. The doors have ints, and then I have a way of bit shifting one of them over or something. Ooh, although which one goes first? I guess I could also make it so that yeah, so if you make it so that like the lower number goes first or something like that, you make it so that it's yeah, okay. Well, I can figure that out once I get to that, but I don't think it's gonna be that crazy. So now I've created a sort of dictionary with the keeping the concatenation and the value being the data. And then we would sort by is it I don't want to say width distance because that's not right. But I guess horizontal distance. Horizontal. By absolute velocity. Right. So no negatives. You just whatever the distance is. So in this situation, I would then do that, and then I would create um, I would then go from the bottom, the closest, and just match them, right? So like this would get matched instantly. This would get matched instantly. I mean, assuming these are those would get matched instantly. Um, and then like later on, these would be the ones left, and because they still have been matched, they would get matched. And I think I would probably say that I'm okay with every possibility of a match being matched. I think it would be fine. Like the only weird one of that would be like go further down here if I had like uh me a square and have it black edges. Okay, so if I had like a long one and it just happened to be like, beside another long door, and there's three corridors that go between them or something, and they just go between the same room. But like I don't think that's the worst. Like that's probably okay as long as there's other rooms somewhere along the line. Or like so even if there's just like another room like here that goes that's not a corridor, corridor there and then corridor there. Yeah, that's probably okay. So yeah, I think I'm gonna say that no matter what, you just always make the corridors. Now, the only other thing that I want to maybe contemplate is if I want to have T corridors. Or do I always have to go through rooms? Make it the corridor order. Obviously, the simplest is just make it that. But like, say, go back, just undo all these. Say I had another room over here, right? And then say maybe this one, got the L opening, but then maybe this should also be just a T corridor. I don't mind that idea. It's just whether or not I can feasibly, one, recognize that in data and code, and then two, also like make a prefab that can handle these kind of T junctions nicely. Um, and obviously, this does apply to like cross junctions too, right? Because you could also have all the way over here, right? And you just go like that, right? And so now it's a cross junction. And so I guess the way I would identify this is if all of these doors only options were all of the other doors, right? So this door only had these three options. This door only had these three options, and like they all had the same um, set of options. That's probably what I would consider doing that type of thing. Because like I wouldn't want, I really wish I wouldn't want like an L here and then an L here because they'll probably overlap, and I don't want to like fit that nicely in some way. So I think like visually, I think the T junction or the cross junction would work there nicely. I'm just trying to figure out if there's situations where that would not be so nice. And I guess all of them would have to have different forward directions. That would be another thing, right? So I wouldn't make a T. It would exclude something like this having sort of double junctions because there's things that have the same normal, same forward directions, right? So these all have the same forward directions. You would not connect any of those. And then these would also have the same forward directions, right? So that's why these would match. And then you wouldn't like match this to there because this has another option that's better. So if I was going to write that rule down, this should be like in a Google Doc, which I'll probably move it to eventually. It's just nice, like I found it quicker to just get it started on. It's like go to Google or do anything. Right, so then I would go to B, which is what I was just talking about. So I create this organization. I'm gonna skip some steps though first. So let's create the dictionary. Okay. Match options. I probably have to explain the match options. So let's go and do that. So in here we have my thing. So this would be what was I just talking about? A match is a door with um, uh, an inverse forward or a cross forward with no interruptions or no with nothing blocking, something like that. That's probably a thing. And so this would also have to be something that, like, as I'm building these, I'd have to check. I'd have to come in and check again, like, hey, once I've placed one, make sure that when I'm evaluating a further one, even if it doesn't have any of its doors taken, I should still nix out anything that has something that's blocking it. Although with the T-junction formation, should be hopefully very unlikely. I'd probably want to like have some logic for that. Anyways, okay, so once I've got all the matches, through matches for potential T and X junctions. So how do I want to do that? I was talking about it before, so I should just be able to explain this again. So this first when 3 to 4 doors all have the same potential connections exclusively. Yeah, it's exclusive in the sense that like it doesn't have any other options or any other doors. And all doors have different forward directions. Yeah, I think the forward directions all should be okay. Although now that I think about it, maybe the forward directions could be okay. But only in like a T type junction, right? Like, so what if there was a thing here, only had one door here? Would I be able to make a T there? Or should I just say, hey, one of these has a door, and then maybe then then like maybe if the other ones are like further enough here, they would, have another one on the edge. I think it's probably more of an edge case. It's probably safe to exclude. Because it might start excluding things that should be having 2 doors and 2 entranceways in them. Okay. So yeah, I think that rule is fine. So yeah, when 3 to 4 doors all have the same potential connections exclusively, and all doors have different forward directions. The reason why it's capped obviously at 4 is because you cannot have more than 4 different forward directions in this type of setup, at least, because it's all going to be grid and either up, down, left, or right. So that should be okay. Okay, so I got the corridors. I think that's pretty solid for corridors. And I mean, obviously the corridors are going to be complex in the sense that I have to like dynamically piece together these kind of corridor pieces. Um, so that part's going to be fun. Um, yeah. I guess so I mean so you control the matches potentials X and Y junctions. Okay. And what am I doing after this? So actual junctions are the corridors will be specific pieces. Oh, specific pieces. I think so. I might just make it so that all rooms might add a condition for the rooms, which is okay. Go here. Condition D, and that condition D is that rooms must be at least the common interval, or must have at least the common interval space between them. So right, so if there's a 10 sized room, there has to be like a 10 sized gap between that and another room, right? And so that would just allow me to pretty universally make a corridor that either connects directly there, or if in the situation where undo, and then I have another room here, it'll allow me to create a. I need to draw this because I can't really illustrate this with these things. So it will, make a U1, it'll be 10, and then I'll create another, I don't know, L. That's not yeah. So it would be an L and then another L, right? So then I create these two pieces and then they would connect up. And so that would be the kind of universalized principle that these would be different shapes. I guess I would need, well, one for the across, one L shape like this, one L shape like this. I think I only need one L shape, right? Because like you can rotate an L to be any direction. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, obviously you might want some variance, but you would need, yeah, at least one L, one direct, one T, and one cross. So 4 different pieces. And then that would create stuff. So once I've actually identified all of them, I'm just going to go back to this opener. And I do need to say at this point, then go through the sorted dictionary I wonder if a combo comb through. But if I comb through these, yeah, they do just want to be pulled away instantly at this point, because if they're these junctions, they only have themselves as options, so they have to be, yeah. Okay, so that's fine. Go through, I guess so, then add those to fabrication list. Fabrication list. Fill out the fabricate at least. Go through sort of dictionary. Starting with the lowest used. Lowest what? The lowest absolute thing. This word, lowest. I tried to type that in variable speak. Lowest or camel case thing. And with the lowest absolute horizontal difference, and then adding those to application list, removing those that can no longer removing those. I'll start with that already have connections or are now blocked. The now blocked is probably going to be a little bit more complicated than just me writing are now blocked, but cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. Fabricate corridors with prefab. This is straight L shape, E shape, shape. This the other one was so like, and then okay. And I'm gonna note this, trying to minimize joints. Just joints and pieces, right? So you're like, it's easy when there's like straight, but like if I'm doing this, I'm not gonna make more loops or anything, or I'm doing this one, I'm not gonna go like up there, here, right? Like you don't want to make the least amount of sense, right? And it's gonna be easier on the else ones, because you basically just say, hey, wherever the meeting point of these two, that's where you do the L, and then you do the straights to connect there. These ones are definitely going to be a little bit more out in the open, because like assuming they're not like right next to each other, like if there's some sort of distance between them, determining where to do the L might be a little up in the air. But I could probably, like, to a degree, just be like, hey, at that point it doesn't matter just random, like pick a time to turn. Should be fine as long as there's one L, right? Like I'll know that this only needs one L. Or sorry, two turns. The appropriate way to explain this, two turns. These ones though, that's gonna be fun to figure out. I'll come to that spot when I get there. Figure that out. Yeah, there's gonna be some rules that I can follow, but I think that's gonna be able to set the corridors. Okay, and then lastly, 3 and storage spaces. Any doors? And so I want to find any doors without matches, and I do still think it would be cool if I could add them in the corridors too, right? Little corridor storage things. I'll put this stretch so and potentially store corridor openings to put storage spaces. Okay. I feel like that's actually pretty good. I'm gonna save this somewhere. Documents. Yeah, I'll just save it in a new folder in here. Documentation. And this will be called the procedural would not be surprised if I spelled that wrong. It's procedural generation outline. Okay. So with that set up, maybe I can at least start going into Unity and kind of like making some basic prefabs to kind of validate that part. I probably won't get any data coding because already like kind of later. So I don't think I'll get that much done if I do start coding. So let's just go into a new scene because I don't think it'll be good to do changes in scene. Anyways, wait. Wow, new scene, right? Basic, built-in, sure. Okay, and I'm gonna just instantly save this in the scenes folder, and I'm gonna call this procedural generation testing grounds. Yeah. So my testing grounds set up here. I'm looking at the scene. Okay. Now is it better to just kind of create? Because I could start taking the whatchamacallits, the art assets and putting them together into something nicer, or I could just make like square blocks, you know. Um, Quickly before I even do that, I want to just go back to let's see. Let's see. What is my grid like here? Like when I look at this, that's a 10 by 10, right? So like if I'm looking at these are all like 1 unit, I think, right? 1 unit, 25. No, these are okay. Well, that's so 20, 16. Okay, so each of those squares is actually 2 unity units. So if I'd actually measure this room, it would be in the actual room, right? So 1, 2, and 6, 10, 12. So that's 12, and that's a pretty small room. Although, and 10 would be one of these little scoot shorter. Like, I don't know if I'd want a room 10 by 10 because, again, I have to make things in intervals, right? Because otherwise it really starts to be a little iffy. And I actually want the interval to be an odd number so that the doors can be centered properly. I guess they could still be centered. They'd just be, they'd have a width, whatever their width is, they'd be centered, right? So if it's 10, I'm not going to go with 10. If it was 10, the doors could be 4 units wide and they would still be on 5 and they're just 2 and 2 apart. Yeah. Would it be a why am I, what would be a word 9 would be like 4.5. I don't know why I was, okay. I don't know. I think the 12 is probably all right for the smallest twofold, right? Because a corridor would be 4, right? It would be 2 of these tiles, basically. So you'd have that. Some of them, the rooms might look like that, but how wide is this room? Because this is like a seemingly fairly big room. So this is on the X 65 to 79. So it'll be the difference between that plus 2. So that is 65, right? Yeah. So that's wasn't like 14. Yeah, 14. So 16 total. Like this is almost the width where I could see like 2 doors getting placed. That was only 16. 16, that was what? I guess I generally probably will not have rooms like this in the future that are like L-shaped rooms. I guess though actually it doesn't really matter with when I place the rooms because once the rooms are placed, as long as I can figure out the overlapping part, I can just sort of find a spot that's next to it. Might be okay. We'll see. Leave that door open. The main thing I need to figure out right now is what do I want to have for kind of my interval. And again, the doors are 4 units, right? So the minimum size basically for a room would be 8, right? Because you'd have to have this and at least one set of walls on each side. And that way I could make it 8, and then yeah, you could, hypothetically have another space, another door here, and that. But that would be kind of like the minimum. In most rooms, I probably won't make it that spacing, but I could. Is the option. So 8 would be my interval. I think I'm okay with that. The only thing I'm thinking about now, though, is with this, if I would do like an 8, I can't actually put a door in the middle of a 16, right? Like I'd have to either do it here or here. If I wanted to have a door in the middle, I would have to have like a 24 wide room, and then I could put one in the middle. Which is this actually going to matter? Maybe not. So I guess let's just continue on with the idea that we're going to make intervals of 8. And that's kind of how it's going to be set up. So I mean, this thing is a nice visually, but I think it is a little cramped in some sections, right? Like, you really only have one way to move in all of these type of things. So I think that's okay. So do that. I want to go. This is all in here. Again, I go with this section of do I want to make something that'll instantly be pretty, or that takes a little bit longer, or just get something that's gonna get me off the races. Let's go with the pretty. It shouldn't take that much longer. Say now. Probably going to regret it later, but it's prefabs, right? Yeah, okay. Variant A, variant B, variant C. Cool. But like the difference between B is just like it's all the same walls, but this let's just do blue. Okay. We're gonna go to the other scene and we're gonna make some things with the variant B. That's what we're gonna do. Scenes. I'm looking at the wrong scenes folder, obviously. And procedural generation. B. Okay. That's got one space missing. Let's create like a basic. I don't really want to create the 8x8. 8x8 room seems a little depressing. So I guess we could make 16x16 rooms. Start with one door each, and then Yeah, okay, let's just make 60 by 60. So what am I going to need to do that? I am going to need the inverse of this one that I'm looking at right now. Some of these for sure. I need to get my grid snapping back on. Grid size 2. Okay. Although I think I need to make these like offset by 1 or offset by I go 0.5 and I go 1 and then so then I snap them like this. Wait, what do I wait, so when I want 3 here, then I want to try to move it. It just okay. Okay, whatever. I guess that's fine. Well, I'll just make it grid snap 1. I'll just know that I need to handle that. It's a little less unfortunate, but what it is what it is. Okay, so again, let's not think about this too much. Before though I duplicate these, let's just no, if I'm gonna make these good prefabs, I'm not gonna just add like a bazillion colliders. I'm actually gonna make a thing that will be like one big collider. So that's 4. I'm just gonna delete them when I need the. I guess I'll make 6, and then I'll know. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm making a door here. It needs to be the other joint, right? So I need to actually then do something else. Should actually be 1 more. Move this to 15 because I will need a corner joint like this guy. And then rotate this 80? No, not on axis. 180. No. Its rotation is that. You. Okay. So do that and then rotate it. And negative 90. Negative 90. There we go. Okay. There and then 90. No, never mind. Okay, I need to make it here and then here. And then what is this gonna be like? 90. And again, I left too little of a space, so then I need to go over these, move them over. That reminds me, ZeniLab had Snap utility. I think theirs was better for handling stuff. Good. Yeah, okay. This was the thing. You know, it just came with the wasn't perfect, but I think this did do it pretty well. Okay. Um and the question is, so when I'm making these rooms, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I actually have too many. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Someone message me. It's whoa. Supposed to be a bug. That's an interesting bug. Probably that the camera is fucked. I'll have to take a look at that later. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I do this way. What am I thinking about this one? So I'm thinking about this. It should be. I was going to make a section. Be like this, right? So this would be 3 on each side. 2, right? That would be one segment. It was going to have the door there. And then I would add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the distance from this one, 19 to 11. Negative 19 to 11 would be 30. Actually, one too many. Let's delete that. 9 to 19 is 28. Just 2 times 14. Oh, isn't I supposed to be why is my brain so broken right now? Should be 16. Oh, okay, so if I do the from here, right? -5, that is 14. Why is that 14? Plus 2, right? You have to do the plus 2, right? So that is 16. 14 plus 2 is 16. Okay. So that math checks out. And this is 19 to 9, which is 28. Plus 2 is 30. I actually want 32, which actually, okay, so I did need that additional one here. So that's going to be kind of like a wall. It seems way longer than the one. I'm getting mind effed by the scale here. That seems like actually a pretty big room. let's just. Is this? I can't remember. It does actually move them all. Okay. Yeah, let's maybe just start with this size of room and then I'll expand out later. Okay. Made my decision. I'm gonna live with it. And then so the thing that I think though is that if I duplicate this and I try to rotate them, which way to actually rotate it? Right, up, up, left, 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 left. And technically that's actually too big, right? So I actually do need to make this right, up. Okay. Right, and so I need to delete these two. I need to make a corner piece. It's basically just the top, right? Inspector, that's half. Yeah, it would just be that. Doesn't have a snap, does it? We go to this thing, all axes, and then I will go with my little guy here. And y is what? Is that 2 or is it 4 up? 4. 4. Left, left, right. So this has to be 1, and then this has to be it's like 0.5 or something. Why is this not? At least line it up with this one. That's weird. So that does line up with that one. Like this. Got some weird rounding stuff. It's like 0.5 it's supposed to be. Or is that it's more into it? Would have thought making like a essentially a square room. It's tedious. It seems like something with this rotation script didn't quite like when I did what I did last time, so I mean, we'll try it again. But maybe doing it like that does work out. So let's just go in, we'll go here, I'll rotate again, and I'll use the inspector to move things around. Then I will duplicate this guy and I'll move him over here and I'll rotate in. Boom. There we go. Created the walls. Very important. I am worried about the door now though. So I guess I make the assumptions the corridors will always add the other side of the door. Probably fine. Yeah. Probably fine. That's what we'll say. But these doors look uneven to you. Am I just going crazy here? Or just perspective view? No, okay. It's no, wait, that is totally off. What? Oh, right. Yeah, I did kind of do that, didn't I? Because I guess I technically need a half piece if I want it to center. Maybe I do need to make it like 9 is the thing, Bob. Yeah, probably. Okay, so then I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna take all of these pieces. Let me select you. I will click on you manually. I will move you over one. And then I will take one of these guys, duplicate you. I will put you here. And I'll take you and I will move one of you and I'll put you there. All right. And then I'll take all of you. And I'm going to move you up two. And then duplicate you and then put you there. And then I'm going to take all of you, put you up here, and duplicate you, just like that. Okay, and so now that's an evenly spaced room. Okay. So yeah, it's 2 on each side. It's going to be total distance of something by something. Fits into this now, which is... Did I just make a 10 by 10 room? It's quite possible. Inspector, 19, 1, so that's 18 plus 1 is it? So it's a 20 by 20 room. Okay. Well, did what I did. I'm just gonna live with it. We'll just start with that. I mean, it's... Wait, though. This was already double. This was the whole thing, so I didn't actually want doors that could be in the middle there. ideally they should be actually it'd be like should I even have it? It should be even more over, right? I'm gonna fill my kind of like interval rule. Right, so it'd have to be like that, because then otherwise I could, so then I could make hypothetically another door right here and here. How do I feel about this? Do I break the rule, or doors will always be at the center of an interval? Or could they be at the center of an interval or an interval? Or be at intervals of half an interval? Obviously a room, I don't want to make all my rooms like this, because I feel like this is probably going to be one of the more common sizes, and I think having a door in the center just makes more sense for most of them. Like, I don't mind having an occasional door like this, but I think doing that would be ideal. The corridors are going to be 4x4, no matter what, right? So if I make the spacing correct, should be okay. I don't talk about the spacing correct. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but so I have to delete these, and I just want to make them this. Okay. I got this one. I want the opposite version. Pick up this spot. I like. Now that's obviously not a. So actually, a corridor is 5. I'm doing it by this method. Right, because the distance, if I look at this, right, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. 11 to 8. Is 8, so yeah, plus 2 is 10. So then, yeah, it's 5 of these tiles, which is 10 unity units apart. Which, what does that mean? So that means the hallway should actually be 10, 5 units, or no, it needs to be 6 units. Because again, this is too small to be a hallway, right? So it should be like that, right? Because there'll be 2 tiles in there. Yeah. Okay. I'll probably have to think about this a whole bunch of time, and I'm going to spend a lot of time just playing with these squares probably for the next little bit. And it's late, so I'm probably going to call the stream here. And next time, I'll either do a little bit of this off stream, or whenever I have some more time, I will just stream this ideation process. I don't know how interesting it's going to be to watch me play with these little squares for a couple hours. So I'll think about whether or not I want to do that on stream or not. But when I get through that, I'm eventually going to start making some rooms, and I think seeing that kind of come together will be kind of cool. So hopefully people will be there for it. Thanks for watching, if you did. Oh, wait. Hello. Wait, symmetric now? Toucheur Rajan. Are you Altair? I was just signing off and I didn't even realize you were here. Oh, yeah, Altair. Okay. Hey, man. Are you still here? Or did you leave? You might have left already. I got so into looking at squares that these little symbols that I kind of zoned out of the chat. Thank you for being the first person to ever chat. I will forever remember you for that. Anyways, since you're not actually seemingly here still, I will chat with you because I saw your bug and I'm interested in that. I'll chat with you on Discord over there. But I'm going to sign off the stream now. Bye, everybody.